Problem number 1. Suppose you have been assigned the job to measure the height of a farmer's silo. Climbing makes you dizzy, so you decide to do the whole job at ground level. From a point 47.3 meters from the base of the silo, you find that you must look up at an angle of 53 degrees to see the top of the silo. How high is the tower? Because we know the angle measurement, and we have the adjacent, and we don't have the opposite, we're going to use tangent, because the formula for tangent is opposite over adjacent. Tangent of 53 will equal x, which is the opposite, over 47.3, which is the adjacent. To get x by itself, we'll multiply both sides by 47.3. This will cancel out, and we're left with tangent of 53 times 47.3 equals x. This is the exact answer. To get a decimal answer, we'll take the calculator and put tangent of 53 times 47.3 into the calculator, and we get 62.77 meters. Problem 2. Your cat is trapped on a tree branch 6.5 meters above the ground. You find a ladder that is only 6.7 meters long. If you want the ladder's tip on the branch, what angle will the ladder make with the ground? Using the SOHCAHTOA method, we understand that we'd have to use sine in this case because it's opposite of the angle over hypotenuse. So sine of theta, because we don't understand what this angle is yet, equals opposite over hypotenuse. Now, to get this answer, since we already have both measurements on this side, we'll have to use the inverse of sine. So, in the calculator, sine negative 1 equals 6.5 divided by 6.7. The answer comes out to be 75.97 degrees. Problem 3. Haleakala is a 10,000-foot high dormant volcano on Maui, Hawaii. The peak is a horizontal distance of only 30,000 feet from the ocean. For question A, it asks, at what angle would you have to look up to see the peak if you were standing on the beach? So, this is the height of the volcano, this is the distance from the volcano to the beach, and this is where you're standing to look up at the volcano. Now, because we have the measurements for adjacent and opposite, we will use tangent, because tangent is opposite over adjacent. Tangent of theta will equal 10,000 over 30,000. Now, because we don't know the value of the angle, we're going to have to take the inverse of tangent, which would be tangent negative 1, 10,000 over 30,000. Plug this into the calculator. And we will get 18.43 degrees. For part B, it asks, what is the straight line distance from the beach to the peak? So we'll redraw our triangle. 30,000, 10,000, There's our angle, and we're trying to find the hypotenuse. We're going to use the Pythagorean theorem to figure this problem out. The formula for Pythagorean theorem is a squared plus b squared equals c squared, and we're going to label the sides as a, b, and c. So 10,000 squared plus 30,000 squared equals x squared. So now we're going to fill in our numbers. So 10,000 squared is equal to this number plus 30,000 squared is equal to x squared. Now we're going to add the two together. And we will get this number equals x squared. Now we're going to take the square root of this to get rid of the 2, to get rid of the squared. So, square root will equal 31,622.78 feet is our x value. And this is the distance from the peak of the volcano to the beach. Problem number 4 is also a two-part question. An observer 5.2 kilometers from a launch pad observes a missile ascending. At a particular time, the angle of elevation is 34 degrees. For question A, it's asking, how high is the missile? So first we're going to draw our triangle. Here is the launch pad right here. 5.2 kilometers away is the person. The missile is ascending. So we're going to find this value right here. The angle of elevation is 34 degrees. Now, since we have the degree value and we have the adjacent, but we do not have the opposite, we're going to use tangent because tangent is opposite over adjacent. So tangent of 34, because that is our degree value right here, will equal x over 5.2 opposite over adjacent. Now, to get x by itself, we're going to multiply by 5.2, which will cancel on this side. And the exact answer would be tangent 34 times 5.2. And the decimal answer would be 3.51 kilometers. For part B, the question asks, how far is the missile from the observer? So now to redraw our picture, we have 34 degrees, 5.2 kilometers, and now we're trying to figure out this distance from the observer to the height of the missile. So since we have the adjacent and we don't have the hypotenuse, we're going to be using cosine of 34. The formula for cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, so it would be 5.2 over x. Now we're going to multiply by x on both sides, and that gives us x times cosine of 34 equals 5.2. Now we need to get x by itself, so we're going to divide both sides by cosine of 34, which will cancel on this side. So we have x equals 5.2 divided by cosine of 34. I'll rewrite that really quickly. Now we're going to put this in the calculator. Which gives us 6.27 kilometers. last problem, problem number 5. A team is building a zip line through the skyline of Atlanta. They have 125 feet of steel cable for the zip line, and have been told the maximum angle of decline can be only 42 degrees. What is the maximum distance the two buildings can be apart? For this problem, since we have the angle measurement and we're trying to figure out the adjacent and we have the hypotenuse, we will use cosine, because for cosine it is adjacent over hypotenuse. So cosine of 42, because that is our degree measurement right here, will equal adjacent over hypotenuse, which is x over 125. To get x by itself, we will multiply both sides by 125. And for the exact answer, it will be cosine of 42 times 125, or for the decimal answer, it will be cosine of 42 times 125, which will give us 92.89 feet.